Faithwoven between worlds.
Unfamiliar reality.
Lea opened her eyes to a world that was both familiar and entirely alien. The ceiling above her was a smooth, metallic surface, unlike anything she'd ever seen on Earth. She blinked, trying to clear the cobwebs from her mind and make sense of her surroundings. The last thing she remembered was leaving the lab late, her mind buzzing with the complexities of celestial mechanics. Now she seemed to be in some sort of cage, or perhaps a pod, a medical pod, if the strange instruments and blinking lights were any indication. She tried to move, but her limbs felt heavy and sluggish. Panic began to rise in her chest, but she pushed it down, taking slow, deep breaths. She was an astrophysicist, for crying out loud. She could handle this. She had to handle this. "Hello," she called out, her voice echoing in the sterile chamber. No response. She tried to sit up, but her body was restrained by what felt like soft, leather-like straps. She struggled against them, but they held firm. The door to her pod hissed open, and a figure stepped in. He was tall, with bronze skin and sharp, angular features. His eyes were a striking gold, unlike any she'd ever seen. They scanned her, taking in every detail from her wild red hair to her green eyes, which she knew must look wild with fear and confusion. "Who are you?" she demanded, her voice steady despite the pounding of her heart. "Where am I?" The man didn't answer right away. Instead, he stepped closer, his gaze lingering on her face. "You are well," he said finally, his voice a deep rumble. "That is what matters." "Well," Lea echoed, her brow furrowing. "I was taken from my home, my planet. I'm not well," Lea retorted, her voice rising. "And I'll be a lot less well if you don't tell me who you are and where I am." The man nodded, as if her anger made sense. "I am Turan," he said, his eyes never leaving hers. "And you are on Aliara, a parallel Earth to your home." Aliara. The word sounded both foreign and familiar, like a distant memory she couldn't quite grasp. "A parallel Earth? What are you talking about?" Lea asked, her mind racing. This couldn't be true. It was like something out of a sci-fi novel, not real life. "It is true," Turan said, his voice firm. "You were taken by our scouts from your planet. Our scientists have been studying your world for some time now." Lea stared at him, disbelief warring with the evidence of her own senses. "Why?" Turan's expression softened slightly. "To learn, to understand. Our technology is more advanced than yours, but we are not without our blind spots. Your world, it offers possibilities." Lea couldn't help but scoff. "Possibilities? You mean like abducting people against their will? That's your idea of possibility?" Turan's expression darkened. "It is not ideal, I grant you. But sometimes the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few." Lea rolled her eyes. "Spare me the Spock impression. I'm not a resource for you to exploit. I am a person." A flicker of strain crossed Turan's face. "Spock? You reference your Earth's culture?" Turan's confusion was evident. I do not understand. Lea sighed, her eyes narrowing. Never mind, just get me out of this thing. She tugged at the straps, demonstrating her point. Turin nodded, stepping forward to release her. His fingers were long and dexterous, his movements precise as he unfastened the restraints. Lea flexed her fingers, trying to relieve the pins and needles feeling in her arms and legs. "Thank you," she said, her voice gruff. She didn't want to admit she was grateful, but the confines of the pod had been stifling. Turan nodded, taking a step back. "You are free to move about the outpost, but I must caution you. It is not safe to leave without proper protection." Lea looked around the metallic chamber, her eyes landing on the open door. Protection from what? Turan's expression turned grave. "Our world is not like yours. We have 2 suns, a harsh climate, and creatures that could harm you." Lea raised an eyebrow. "Creatures? Like what? Dinosaurs? Alien zombies?" She tried to make light of the situation, but her heart was pounding. She had no idea what to expect in this new world. Turan shook his head. "Nothing so dramatic, but our wildlife is not tame, and our weather can be unpredictable." Lea pushed herself to her feet, wobbly but determined. "Well, I'm not planning on going for a hike anytime soon. I just want some answers." Turan hesitated, then nodded. "I understand, but first you should rest. Your body will need time to adjust to Alira's atmosphere and gravity." Turan gestured towards the door. "Come, I will show you to a habitation unit." Lea followed him out of the pod, her eyes taking in the stark metallic corridors. The outpost hummed with an unfamiliar energy, the air tinged with an odd scent she couldn't quite place. She tried to walk steadily, but her legs felt like jelly. Turan slowed his pace, noticing her struggle. "It will pass," he assured her. "You are strong. You will adapt." Lea snorted. "Strong? I feel like I just ran a marathon." Turan gave her a small smile. "Patience, Lea of Earth. Your strength will return. For now, rest." They walked in silence for a while, Lea's eyes darting around, taking in the strange sights and sounds of the outpost. The corridors were wide and bare, the walls a dull gray metal that seemed to absorb the light from the dual suns. Occasionally, they passed other people, their faces a mix of humanoid and alien features. Each one gave her a curious glance before turning away, their voices a low hum in a language she didn't understand. She felt like a specimen in a zoo, an invader in this strange new world. Turan led her to a door, which slid open at his approach. The room beyond was small but comfortable, with a soft sleeping platform in the corner, a desk with a holographic interface, and a narrow window that showed a breathtaking view of the landscape outside. Lush, verdant forests stretched as far as the eye could see, under the dual glow of 2 suns, one large and yellow, the other smaller and red. "This is your habitation unit," Turan said, gesturing to the room. "You may use it as you please." Lea stepped inside, her eyes drawn to the window. She had never seen anything like this double sunset before. It was both beautiful and disorienting, like her reality had been stretched and worked into something new and unfamiliar. "It's impressive," she said finally, turning back to Turon. "But I still have questions." Turon nodded, his expression serious. "Of course, I will answer what I can." Lea took a deep breath, her mind racing with questions, but one stood out above the rest. "Why me? Why was I taken from my home?" Lea asked, her voice steady despite the turmoil inside her. She turned to face Turen, her eyes searching his for answers. Turen hesitated, his gold eyes reflecting the strange light of the dual suns. "I cannot speak to the motivations of the scouts who took you," he admitted, "but I can tell you that your unique qualities made you an exciting prospect." Lea's brows furrowed. "Unique qualities? Like what?" Turin looked her up and down, his expression inscrutable. "Your mind, for one. Your intellect, your curiosity. They are qualities we value highly in our society. Your knowledge of the cosmos, your ability to understand and predict natural phenomena. It is all very intriguing." Lea crossed her arms, trying to hide her shiver. "Intriguing? I'm a person, Turon, not a puzzle to be solved." Turon's eyes softened, and he took a step closer. "I understand that. I do not mean to objectify you. I merely wish to emphasize why your presence here is valuable. You could teach us much, Lea of Earth." Turon's voice was gentle, his expression sincere. He reached out a hand, as if to offer comfort, but stopped short of touching her. Lea looked at his hand for a moment before meeting his gaze. "I appreciate your explanation, but I'm still not convinced." She uncrossed her arms, her fingers tapping against her sides as she thought. "So, you want my knowledge? Fine. But what about my freedom, my life on Earth? What about my family and friends?" Lea's voice trembled slightly, and she took a deep breath to steady herself. "I can't just forget about them and stay here indefinitely." Dear listeners, thank you for listening to episode 1 of Faithwoven. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe and return for the next episode. Lea's journey is only just beginning. Can't wait to find out what happens next. You can read the full book, Faithwoven, on major reading platforms, or follow the direct link to the author in the description below. Please note, some scenes are exclusive to the written version and are not available in audio format due to content restrictions. They can only be experienced by reading the full book privately. The next part will be available very soon, or may already be up, depending on when you're watching. Hit the bell so you don't miss it.